Yes, here we are at the beloved Neville Point Swamp. Here we are on that's North Beaver Lake, and we're looking northeast towards the end of Neville Point, which of course lies between North Beaver Lake on the left and South Beaver Lake on the right. The swamp is shown at the bottom of the screen in all its glory. Swing around a bit again to catch our context. Tamworth is visible in the just barely at the edge there before it goes kind of purpley. Alright, let's have another look at the beloved swamp. There it is. It starts at the edge there where the road becomes very, very narrow between the two lakes. This is the narrowest point of Neville Point, and it's also the lowest point. When the water is extremely high, the water actually flows over the road there, making the swamp and parts to the northeast essentially an island. That's the boat launch of Neville Point, and here we are again flying over the swamp. On the left side is a rocky ridge, granite mostly. It's a little bit of limestone, and here we are looking down into the very center of the swamp. There's a cottage on the left-hand side, and that blue thing is a tarp covering, I think, a boat. So, rocky ridge on the left. On the right is an esker. An esker is basically a glacial riverbed. It's a gravel deposit, almost like a railroad bed in some respects. It meanders through the woods there on the right-hand side of the swamp. And there we see it again. Look at that. At the bottom of the screen is there's a little inlet, and there's a road to the cottage on the left-hand side. The road to the rest of Neville Point turns around to the right and then takes a sharp turn to the left and runs along the northern side of that esker. Here we are flying into the swamp. Look at that, a lovely example of swamp. Frozen, scrubby, a few rocks there in the middle. I call that the anomaly. We'll go right down low there and have a good close look at the anomaly. You can see it's causing the drone to sway and swing, unable to pinpoint its exact location due to whatever it is in the anomaly of the beloved Neville Point Swamp. So the swamp is surrounded by mostly cedar, which of course is still green here in the winter, a few birch trees and some ash on the left. There's a bit of the road that heads off towards the end of Neville Point. That's a private road. You can see some fishing huts out on the lake, on the South Beaver Lake. You can see how narrow that road passageway there is. There's often turtles and creatures of the swamp crossing from the lake into the swamp and vice versa. The boat launch is just through that little passage there and on the right. See, we have some pine at this end. Possibly an oak tree there, that large one. Well, let's rise up out of the swamp. We're looking towards the esker on the right hand side where most of those cedars are. There's a gravel pit. People have extracted some gravel out of the end of the esker. As I said, an esker is the sediment formed from a river that has flown through the ice-walled tunnels under and within the glaciers that once covered this part of the area, and of course dug out both North and South Beaver Lake, leaving the hard granite ridge of Neville Point behind. Neville Point is actually just a little tiny squig of the Canadian Shield. Here we are flying over South Beaver Lake and then coming back again for one final look. There's that narrow part of the road. One final look of the beloved Neville Point Swamp. Hope you enjoyed.